New videos every day.
Hi, I'm Peter McCarthy. I'm a certified traditional naturopath, and today we're going to talk about a subject that's very important to a lot of women, and that's the subject of pregnancy. But we're going to take a little bit of a different twist on pregnancy today and talk about the impact of stress on a woman's pregnancy. You know, the medical community by and large does a fairly decent job in being able to prepare a woman adequately for childbirth. We've all heard some of the long held to advice from the medical community for an expectant mom of don't smoke, don't drink alcohol, get plenty of rest, eat healthy. But beyond that, they really don't go into really helping a woman modify their lifestyle so that their pregnancy is going to be easy and the delivery will be also equally easy. And one of the most insidious things that happens to a woman that can completely change the experience of the pregnancy as well as the outcome for both mom and child is if the woman is under chronic stress. What do I mean by that? Well, typically if a woman gets pregnant and she's been dealing with a high level of chronic stress, her pregnancy is going to be quite a bit different from somebody else who isn't. Let's take it trimester by trimester. Your first trimester, your body is already shunting a lot of the raw material that the body uses to synthesize both stress and reproductive hormones towards the stress response. And what I mean by that, as we talked about in an earlier episode, that the stress response is fueled by the raw material cholesterol. Well, if the body is shunting most of that cholesterol to the stress response, but doesn't give an adequate amount to synthesizing the right reproductive hormones at the right time, it's going to have a physiological impact on the new mom. And it's typically manifested that they have a very difficult first trimester, punctuated by frequent episodes of morning sickness, mood swings, all of the things that we know that go with a difficult first trimester of pregnancy. And usually it's because the body is still stuck in a chronic stress pattern. And on the surface, for most women, once they get past that first trimester, they start to feel better, and so they think, well, hey, everything's okay, not a problem. We're not going to really be able, or not going to have any more issues with all of those uncomfortable symptoms that we suffered the first 3 months. Well, that may be true, but there are some things going on in the woman's and the baby's body that have some repercussions down the road. During that second trimester, the umbilical cord starts to secrete about 450 milligrams of progesterone a day. And that progesterone is designed to provide the hormonal raw material that the baby needs to continue to develop. Well, one of the interesting things about progesterone is that it's what I call a pinch hit hormone. And what I mean by that is that when you look at the biochemical pathways that progesterone can follow within what they call the hormonal cascade, it can be transformed into a number of different hormones depending upon the needs of the body. Well, if you're still stuck in a chronic stress pattern, guess what? The body is going to take that progesterone and transform it, or the scientific term, conjugate it, into stress hormones. And it's going to be denied to the baby. So the baby is now starting to experience some hormonal shortages of itself because the mom is literally robbing this hormonal raw material to feed her own stress response. Well, typically speaking, nobody really recognizes this because the mom is feeling good. And by the third trimester, mom's feeling great. Because what's happening now is that the baby's adrenals have developed. And they're starting to churn out cortisol, DHEA, maybe epinephrine and norepinephrine to feed the baby or the mom's stress response. Well, in order to do that, they're not going to remain those tiny adrenals that the baby needs. They're going to start growing to be able to meet the demand that mom is placing on them. And mom is starting to feel better all the time. The third trimester, man, she's just feeling awesome. Unfortunately, all of that comes to a screeching halt when the baby is born, for two reasons. First of all, when the baby is born and the umbilical cord is cut, all of mom's additional stress support is gone. And frequently, once that hormonal support disappears, now she has to rely on her own still depleted adrenal glands to be able to deal with that high stress load. Well, we talked about in the earlier episode, the last one, that one of the frequent causes of depression is a chronic stress response pattern. Well, now here she is back at square one before she got pregnant. And it's not unusual for women like that to eventually experience postpartum depression. And of course, to make matters worse, now she's got this additional workload of the newborn who pops out of the uterus and is delivered with greatly enlarged adrenals. Well, unfortunately, one of the manifestations of enlarged adrenals in a newborn is a very fussy baby. So put all the pieces of the scenario together. Now what are you looking at? You're looking at a depleted mom who is probably either in or at the brink of adrenal exhaustion, having an increased workload that is being aggravated and exaggerated by this very fussy baby that, unfortunately, her own lifestyle choice has helped to create. So what's the point of all of this? Well, it's that when a woman decides that she wants to have a child, she has to look at the entire dietary and lifestyle spectrum of her life and make sure that she identifies all of those pieces that could contribute to a chronic stress pattern and make some changes so that she doesn't wind up experiencing what I just described. Well, that's all for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please make sure you sign up for Psychetruth. Make sure you make some comments if you have questions. We'd love to have them. And I look forward to seeing you next time.
If you liked this video, we have hundreds of more alternative videos ranging from sexual health to psychology to mind control. So if you liked it, go ahead and click on me to enter the Psychetruth channel.